Imagine working 12-hour shifts in blistering desert heat, exhausted, covered in grease, just trying to keep multi-million-dollar aircraft flying, and your so-called leaders care more about the color of your trucks than the mission. That's exactly what happened to us. But instead of rolling over, we turned the tables and made them regret every smug word. Intro CTA, next 15 seconds. If you've ever had a boss who valued appearances over hard work, this story is going to hit home. Hit that like button, subscribe, and buckle up, because this revenge is as satisfying as a cold drink in the middle of a desert deployment. I was active duty aircraft maintenance. Our shifts were brutal, 40 people rotating nonstop to keep jets ready to fly. Every day started the same. A 20-minute drive through 2 checkpoints just to reach the flight line. Walking wasn't an option. You needed a vehicle. And that's where the problem started. We had 7 trucks, if you could even call them that. These things have been beaten to hell in desert conditions for years. Handles held together with duct tape. Wires spliced and respliced. Interiors ripped up. The paint so sun-baked and sandblasted it had permanently turned this sickly, dusty light brown. They looked awful, but they ran, and that was all that mattered. At least, it should have been. When you deploy, leadership is a grab bag. Sometimes you get officers and seniors who actually care. Sometimes you get the ambitious climbers, the ones who want promotion more than people. On this deployment, we got the worst of both worlds. Our officer, desperate for a promotion, obsessed with looking good to his superiors. Our senior, supposed to be our advocate, but instead he only cared about pleasing that officer. He didn't give a damn about us. One day, the officer's boss, way higher up, decides to come down and see the peons. He walks around, looks at our trucks, and yeah, he makes a few comments. Wow, these are ugly, interiors are rough. But after talking to us, he gets it. He sees they're functional. He understands. In a story, right? Wrong. The moment he leaves, we're dragged into a meeting. The officer is red in the face, the senior standing smug beside him. They order us to turn in our vehicles for any damage. Scratches, stains, even dust. And if we didn't, we get written up. We tried reasoning with them. QA didn't care about cosmetic damage. Command didn't care. But they weren't listening. The next day, we're rushing to catch an aircraft coming in. Timing is everything. And here comes our senior, arms full of paper towels and spray bottles. He starts screaming at us. Make the trucks white before you leave. White. In the middle of the desert. On trucks that had been permanently stained for years. We tried to scrub, but nothing changed. He lost it. Yelling, grabbing rags, climbing on trucks, frantically rubbing like he could scrub away the sand itself. Time was running out. If we didn't get to the flight line, the aircraft would land with no support. So we left him there, still scrubbing, while we barely made it to catch the jet. And that's when we snapped. That night, out on the flight line, we decided if they wanted vehicles turned in for every scratch, then fine. We'd give them every single scratch. We pulled out clipboards and started writing. Every dent, every discoloration, every cracked handle, every squeaky hinge, every weird smell. 80 items per truck, minimum. Things that made the vehicles unusable by official standards. Broken windows, busted AC, wiring issues. Stuff we had lived with for months. By the time we were done, those trucks weren't just in for maintenance. They were gone. Vehicle maintenance already took over a week just for an oil change. With our lists, these trucks wouldn't come back for 6 months, minimum. We marched straight from the flight line and turned all 6 vehicles in. When we walked back, what do we find? Our senior, still in the parking lot, still scrubbing. He'd been at it for hours, red-faced, rag in hand, yelling at a poor maintainer who was just trying to get home. We told him calmly, we already turned to the other vehicles. This one's next. And by the way, maintenance said, don't expect them back anytime soon. The look on his face, priceless. His jaw locked. His veins bulged. He nearly had a stroke on the spot. He bolted inside to the officer like a child tattling to mommy. A few minutes later, both of them walked out. The officer was pale, trying to save face. The senior? He looked like a beaten dog. The officer cleared his throat and said, "I may have been short-sighted. We try to get the vehicles back, but maintenance will only release 3. And here's the kicker. Those 3 weren't for them. They had to hand us the keys." See, the officer and senior both had their own personal vehicles. They were allowed on the flight line. But now, they had no choice but to give them up to us. For the rest of the deployment, we, the maintainers, drove around in their nice, clean, air-conditioned cars. And our so-called leaders? They had to take the base buses. Every day, walking nearly a mile in the desert heat just to reach work, drenched in sweat before their shifts even started. The sight of that senior stumbling in half an hour late, sweat-soaked and gasping for air, while we rolled up cool and comfortable in his own car, morale had never been higher. They never complained again. Climactic revenge payoff, 1 minute. All it took was following their orders to the letter. They wanted every scratch reported, every vehicle turned in, done. And in the end, their obsession with appearances left them stranded, humiliated, and forced to watch us thrive while they suffered. That was the sweetest revenge of all. Reflective wrap-up, 20 seconds. Sometimes karma doesn't come with thunderbolts or big explosions. Sometimes it's just watching the people who try to crush you slowly realize they dug their own graves. That's justice. If this story gave you goosebumps, smash that like button and drop a comment. Have you ever seen a leader get the payback they deserved? And don't forget to subscribe, because I've got even more stories of revenge you won't want to miss.